What up, Beachy? Alfa Romeo Multiair Turbo Benzina, which is petrol. 1.4, and this one's 170 brake horsepower. Customer complaint is engine management flashes, and it comes on in the morning and then goes off, and sometimes comes back on again, and all that. So quick scan, this is in the history here. So on the OBD side, because we had an engine management light on when you were going to get something, stored code, so it's not active, P0164, cylinder 4 Uniair actuation electro valve signal, and P1061, cylinder 1, same thing. In the Alfa Romeo side then, let's see, what have we got? In the ECM, cylinder 1, Uniair actuation electro valve signal, actuator stuck stored code, and P106471, cylinder 4, electro valve signal, actuator stuck. So same thing, just with a wee additional description there. And there's a few things in the HVAC which we're not interested in. So let me see, this multi-air system. What is this Multiair system? Well, it's a way that Fiat Chrysler automobiles invented to control the opening of the inlet valves. So you might think, well, that's the same as VVT or Honda VTEC or something like that. Well, it's actually better than those things, and I'll tell you why in a wee minute. Just point a note here. See these wee boys here? I had a car like this in, and these were all broke. These are they look like wee Allen heads, but somebody decided that, or thought that that's how you got this cover off, was with those, but it just lifts off. And we reveal an engine. So we'll have a wee quick look around here. So clearly we've got 4 coil packs at the top of the engine for your spark plugs, but in around the bake here there is a solenoid valve with a wire on it, and there's another one in there, and there's another one, and as you can see it, there's another one. So there's 4 electrically actuated solenoid actuators, and that's what controls the inlet valves opening. So two inlet valves per cylinder and 2 exhaust valves. So a wee quick overview of Multiair. Said earlier on, it's better than VTEC, better than VVT, better than BMW Vanos. People mightn't agree with that, but anyway, I'll maybe explain. This might explain that. So we'll have a single camshaft, just one camshaft, and there's a lobe directly actuating the exhaust. So that part of it doesn't change. That's always the same. But the inlet is controlled by the ECU. There is another lobe on the same camshaft, on the only camshaft there is, that pushes a wee rocker arm, and that pushes a plunger that pressurizes the engine oil. So this all works on engine oil, all works on hydraulics. And then at the back we'll have a solenoid that basically opens and closes, basically like a valve or a tap or something like that, and allows that oil pressure then to push a plunger on 2 of the inlet valves. So we'll have 8 valves in the inlet, 2 valves per cylinder, and 8 valves on the exhaust, 2 valves per cylinder. But the ECU determines when and how long the inlet valves open for. So as a result, what we get on the inlet valves only now, we can have late valve opening, early valve opening, which is what you can have on VVT and VTEC and stuff. But the party trick of this is you can have multiple valve opening events. So that's the bit that the other systems cannot do. And generally speaking, pretty reliable system. Early ones give a wee bit of bother, but you know, it had teething problems. This is new technology. Fiat Chrysler automobiles introduced this about 2008, 2009, something like that, I think. Oh, and here's another one I nearly forgot about. So another state or condition of this is no valve opening. So you would get that maybe on an overrun, which means, you know, the car going down a hill. So the solenoids themselves that control the oil pressure very rarely fail. They're normally quite reliable, and the whole system is completely dependent on the proper oil, good quality oil, and multiple oil changes. If you have a multi-air engine that's in Fiat 500s or in America Dodge Darts and stuff like that, you really need to change the oil very frequently on these multi-air systems. So there's a thing called people call it a multi-air block. It's just a big rectangular brick, or the multi-air brick, and it lives beneath the rocker cover there. We're not going to do that here. We're not going to take all that apart. What we're going to do is basically an oil change. So I have this engine pretty warm. I'm going to get it up in the air and drain the oil out of it. But first of all, I'm going to show you a filter that allows the oil to pass through. It's like a strainer more than a filter, and it's actually not in the Alfa Romeo service requirements, so it's not mentioned anywhere. You know, they do not say to change this, but I say you do. And this is the wee filter, and it's a genuine part. And normally from Alfa Romeo, these are, I think, are about 60 quid, something like that. I got this online for about £35, and that's it. There's my finger, and that is the part number, in case you're thinking about doing this. So wee bit of history here. This car has 75,000 miles on it, and it has not been serviced for a couple of years. The last record in the service history is about 18,000 miles ago. So we're pulling this out of the box, and this is what we're talking about. So the only thing that Alfa Romeo talks about is that if you change the multi-air brick, you need to change this filter along with it. But I'm saying that this is a service item. So what you can do is, we'll have a wee old ring on it. This blue stuff is thread locker. But what you can do is you can take this out periodically and clean it. This wee nylon strainer that's inside it. I can get you in the shot there. You can see it. It's quite fine, but this one, as far as I know, has never been changed in this car. So we're just going to go ahead and change it without cleaning it out, and change the oil and the ordinary oil filter at the same time. So the multi-air filter lives beneath this timing cover, and it's roughly about there. So we'll have a bolt here and a bolt down there. Take this timing cover off, a couple of pipes and a wire, and we'll come back when I do that. So there she blows right there, and it's a 10mm hex, or Allen if you prefer to call it that. So because you have the engine mount here, you can't really get the head of a ratchet on this. You could use just a big Allen key, but I can get this wee by here in. And you make sure these can be quite tight. So you saw the blue Loctite on her there, so these can be quite tight. And you need to make sure your Allen key is well seated in it there, you know. So we'll give us a hoof. It was not bad. So we'll just pull that out and take it the rest of the way out. So it'll be interesting to see the condition of this. So I can get a wee quarter on it now that it's loose. And well, because there's Loctite on it, it's still sort of tightish the way out. It's worthwhile taking a wee note of, you know, the position of it before you start. It isn't exactly flush with the head. It's in very slightly, you know, so you can sort of feel it with your fingernail. Gives you an idea. When you tighten them up, the spec is 27 Newton meters, but with that engine mount on, you'll maybe struggle to get any sort of torque wrench in there. Now there will be a bit of oil coming out of this, So have a wee rag at the ready, or it might be worthwhile putting a wee rag in to protect the timing belt. You don't want any oil coming on the timing belt. So regarding this multi-air system, because we have, as we've said, it works on oil pressure, the open and close the inlet valves. What happens is those codes that I had appeared. You usually get it when the engine's cold and first start up. Until the oil pressure is built up, but and then it was flashing on them a wee bit, so you will get a wee bit of oil coming out, and we'll just get that rag in there, and we'll get her out, get a wee look at her. So let's see now. There's a wee bit of junk in there. We can see on the strainer. So it's not completely blocked, but certainly there's a bit of debris in there. So as far as we know, we're pretty much 100% sure this has never been changed. And we can see that the seal is quite flat here. Let's have a wee look inside it. So yeah, so I'm not saying that this is the cause of this problem, but these, as I said, these multi-air units are very susceptible to oil quality and frequent oil changes. So I think the manufacturers recommend is what, 18,000 miles or something, and I recommend like half that, or maybe even less for oil changes. And it's absolutely crucial that you put the correct quality and type of oil into it. So the oil that goes in these engines is 5W40 C3 grade. I'll put that on the screen now. Right, so we'll just give the area a bit of a clean up before we proceed. And do not get brake cleaner or oil on this timing belt, whatever you do. So this car, I'm going to do a timing belt change in this anyway here. So we'll get our new one in. Right, wee bit of oil on the rubber seal there, and I cleaned out. The threads are a wee bit as well, so we'll get our new one in. And first of all, you want to give it a wee push in so that the threads can start like that. And we'll just run her in nice and gently. And as I say, the spec for this is 27 newton meters. I'll be able to torque this up when I'm doing the timing belt, and I take this hosier follower here off engine mount. So what I'll do is I'll just put that on it and a wee spanner just to give it a wee nip up for now. But you can sort of tell anyway, because it doesn't sit flush, it just sits in the head very slightly. And going by feel, I know that that's pretty on the money. So it just recesses in maybe 1/2 mil there. So if I get a pick tool, you can just see it catches there. So now I'm going to get the car up in the air and drain the oil out of the sump and just do an oil filter change and put fresh oil in her. And I don't want to start it up with used oil and recontaminate that new wee filter in there and that wee strainer. So if you ever did have to change the multi-air block, a lot of people maybe don't know this, but there is actually a wee tiny wee valve on top of the multi-air block that you depress with a wee tiny screwdriver or something, and you can get oil into it that way. And yeah, but there should be oil still in it at the minute, so we're just going to drain the oil out of the sump. So anyway, that's it. Multi-air blocks are very susceptible to oil quality and oil frequency of oil changes. So that's what we're going by on this one. And yeah, if it does give them any more problems and we end up just changing the whole brick, well, that'll be another video. But I told him the price of that, and he says, well, we'll change the oil, do the service, and take it from there, see what happens. But certainly the wee strainer, it certainly helped things, I think, for sure. So okay, that's all I'm going to tell you on this one. Thanks for watching, all the best, and